My wife drained the account and vanished on the very day I came home. After 15 years of risking my life on the battlefield, the house, empty. Not a single photo. Not a single thing left behind. Just one piece of paper sitting on the kitchen table. A divorce paper, with a dried coffee stain in the corner. I let my duffel bag slip from my hand. The thud echoed in the dead silence. My chest tightened, my heart pounding like a war drum. Don't come looking for me. Noah and I will be happier without you. Those shaky words hit me, like a bullet, point blank. 15 years. I sent home every paycheck, every damn cent, so my wife and son could live comfortably. I pictured this day 1,000 times. Emily running into my arms. Noah, my 10-year-old boy, calling me dad and holding me tight. But this is what I came back to? I pulled out my phone. A bank alert flashed on the screen. Your account balance, 0 zeros. All withdrawals authorized. My head buzzed. My hands shook so bad I had to grab the edge of the table to stay on my feet. They took it all. The house, the money. My son. A laugh slipped out of me. Broken, hollow. Happier without me? They call running away with every cent I sent. Happiness? I stared at this cold, lifeless house I once called home. It used to echo with laughter. Now, just emptiness. And the smell of mildew. Before I could catch my breath, my phone buzzed again. An email. From Emily. Subject line, I'm sorry. But when I opened it, I froze. Caleb, please don't hate me. I can't love a man who's changed. Noah and I are starting a new life. With Logan. Logan? The name struck me like lightning. Logan Bennett. The man I once pulled out of hell in Afghanistan. What would you do when the only person you trusted vanished with your son, and the man she ran away with was the same brother in arms who once took a bullet for you? My name is Caleb Walker. I'm 42. For 15 years, I was a soldier. 15 long years of surviving gunfire, freezing desert nights, and the haunting sight of brothers falling right in front of me. But what kept me going wasn't the stripes on my sleeve, wasn't the stars and stripes on that flag. It was the little family waiting for me back home. Emily, the woman I'd loved since I was 18, and Noah, the boy I never got to hold for more than a month at a time because of deployments. Every night in those cramped tents, I pictured the day I'd come home for good, dropping my duffel bag on the floor, wrapping my arms around my wife and son, hearing Emily whisper, "We'll never have to be apart again, Caleb." But over time, the video calls stopped feeling the same. Emily answered less often. She was always busy, or so she said. And when she did show up on screen, her smile, it never reached her eyes anymore. I remember one call from Afghanistan. I heard a man laughing in the background. I froze. "Who's that?" I asked. Emily hesitated for a split second. "Oh, just the TV. I'm watching a sitcom." I stayed quiet. I didn't want to sound paranoid. When Noah turned 5, I sent him a little bike. The first time he rode it, I watched through the grainy screen of an old phone. Emily looked exhausted. Her replies were shorter, sharper. "How much longer are you staying out there?" "Until the mission's over. You know that. Maybe you should just choose the army over your family, Caleb." Each time I came home on leave, I noticed Emily changing. She still cared for me. She still kissed me good morning. But something was out, different. Her hugs weren't as tight. Sometimes, her eyes looked at me like I was a stranger, and I couldn't help but notice. Every time Logan, my old squad mate, stopped by, Emily's smile seemed brighter. I didn't think much of it. Logan had been my closest brother in arms, the man whose life I once saved during an ambush. I trusted him like I trusted myself. At least, I thought I did. Back then, I didn't know. That smile was no longer meant for me. One time, I came home on leave. My flight got delayed, and I didn't make it back until almost 2 a.m. I didn't call ahead. I thought I'd surprise Emily. But the one who was surprised was me. The lights in the living room were still on. I set my duffel bag down gently and walked closer. Laughter floated out from the kitchen. Through the crack in the door, I saw Emily and Logan. They were standing closer than they needed to. Logan whispered something. Emily laughed. Her eyes lit up, a kind of light I hadn't seen in years. Not when she looked at me. I froze. My heart slammed against my ribs, like it was trying to break free. Don't think like that, Caleb. That's Logan, the brother who stood by you on the battlefield. I drew a deep breath. I swallowed the doubt clawing at my chest and pushed the door open. Emily jumped. Logan stiffened for a second, then quickly forced a wide grin. Caleb! Back without warning? Man, you got us good. Emily walked over and hugged me. It was a hollow hug. Why didn't you call first? I wasn't ready for this. I forced a smile. I wanted to surprise you. But it seems I'm the one surprised. The next 3 days of leave, Logan kept showing up. At dinner, he dropped by to eat with us. In the morning, he called Emily out to talk about fixing up the house. And me? I stayed quiet, watching, telling myself over and over, don't doubt Emily. She'd never do anything to betray you. The last night, I lay beside her. She faced away, her breathing calm and steady. I couldn't sleep. Her phone screen lit up. A soft notification sound. A message from Logan popped up. Thanks for today. I don't know what I'd do without you. I held my breath. My fingers shook as I reached for her phone. But then, I stopped. I was scared. Scared that if I knew the truth, I'd never be able to look at Emily the same way again. The next morning, Emily woke early. She said she was taking Noah to the park. 2 hours later, my neighbor called. Caleb, I saw Emily driving off with Logan. Noah wasn't with them. I froze. The blood rushed to my head. My hands clenched so hard my knuckles turned white. I walked into the bedroom. Emily's wallet was lying open on the table. A few papers had slipped out. I bent down to pick them up. And there it was, a hotel receipt. 2 names printed clearly. Emily Walker and Logan Bennett. Double room, 3 nights. I should have confronted Emily right then. But I didn't. I stayed silent. I didn't know. That silence would be the first crack. The crack that would split my world apart. I sat there in the cold kitchen. The hotel receipt still lying on the table. The black ink burned into my eyes like a knife twisting in my chest. Emily and Logan. Double room, 3 nights. I read those words over and over, hoping they'd turn into some sick joke. But no. The truth sat there, raw and merciless, stripping away everything I thought I knew. Memories flashed through my mind, like a film on fast forward. Those nights I lay on the battlefield, clutching a photo of my family, telling myself, as long as Emily and Noah were waiting, I could survive any storm of bullets. The times I refused to come home early, because I believed Emily was strong enough to care for Noah on her own. The emails she sent me, always ending with, "We're so proud of you." I clenched my fists so tight, my nails dug into my palms. Proud? Or was she proud while lying next to another man? The sound of the door opening snapped me out of it. Emily walked in, grocery bag in hand. Noah toddled in behind her. Her eyes froze for a split second when she saw me sitting there. You didn't go out today?" she asked, her voice slightly strained. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I wanted to rest. How was the park? It was fine. She looked away, kneeling to take off Noah's shoes. Noah ran over and wrapped his arms around me. "Daddy, I had ice cream today. Mommy said when you're free, we'll all go to the beach together." I held him tight. A faint, broken smile crept across my face. The whole family. What family was left, when her heart was already with another man? I almost confronted her right then. I almost slammed the receipt on the table and shouted, "What the hell have you and Logan been doing behind my back?" But I didn't. I stayed silent. I was terrified. Terrified of her answer. Terrified of Noah's eyes if he saw his parents fighting. Terrified of losing the last thread holding me together. That night, after Emily fell asleep, I picked up her phone. My heart pounded like it did in combat. The screen lit up. Fingerprint required. I put it back down. My palm was slick with sweat. The 3 days of leave dragged on like an eternity. Emily acted normal, but the invisible gap between us grew wider. Logan didn't come around anymore, but every time Emily's phone rang, she'd leave the room with a quiet, "I'll just take this call real quick." On my last day, I packed my bag for the base. Emily stood in the doorway, arms folded, her face unreadable. I stepped forward and hugged her. The goodbye kiss was so cold, I couldn't feel any warmth left. "Take care of yourself, Caleb," she said softly. "I'll be back. Soon," I replied. I kept my eyes on her, searching for a trace of the woman I once loved. On the flight back, my phone buzzed. A blocked number. The message read, "Caleb, you'd better walk away. This isn't your fight anymore." I gripped my phone so hard I thought it might shatter. Logan. He had the nerve to threaten me? Weeks later, an old friend at the bank emailed me. "Caleb, do you know Emily's been withdrawing large sums from your joint account? She recently transferred a chunk into a separate account, under Logan's name." I sat there for hours, staring at the screen, reading the words again and again. I once saved Logan's life on the battlefield, but now, he's the one killing me. Slowly, painfully. Ever since I got that threatening text, I was no longer the man who trusted blindly. I returned to the base, but my mind never left Emily and Logan. 15 years on the battlefield taught me how to survive, by noticing every little detail. Now, I'd use that skill to protect myself and my son. I started digging quietly. I reached out to an old Army buddy, now working at the FBI. I asked him to check Logan's financial records. The results sent a chill down my spine. Logan owned at least 3 shell companies in another state. Recently, his account had received large transfers from Emily's, and my name, it showed up in a money laundering file, as if I were part of his operation. He was setting me up. If the FBI caught wind of this, I'd lose everything. My career, my honor, even the right to raise Noah. That night, my phone rang. An unknown number. Logan's voice came through, cold, sharp enough to cut bone. "Caleb, don't be stupid. You should thank me for taking care of Emily and Noah while you were off playing soldier. If you want to keep what little dignity you have left, stay out of this." I gripped the phone so tight my knuckles cracked. "You'll pay for this, Logan. I swear it." He let out a low, mocking laugh. "What do you have, Caleb? A washed-up soldier? A man about to be charged with laundering dirty money? Enjoy your last days of freedom." The call ended. A cold, hollow beep echoed in the dark room. I stayed awake all night, staring at an old family photo. The photo that now felt like a cruel joke. Emily smiling so brightly. Logan standing beside me with those so-called brotherly eyes. I crumpled the photo in my fist, then smoothed it out again. I couldn't let it end like this. The next morning, my FBI friend sent me another message. "Caleb, I hate to tell you this. Emily forged your signature to sell the house. The money was wired to an account under Logan's name. She also co-signed a huge loan. On paper, you're responsible for paying it back." My chest tightened. Emily hadn't just betrayed me. She was helping him destroy me completely. 3 days later, I showed up at the house unannounced. Emily froze when she saw me at the door. "You're back early? Is something wrong?" Her voice cracked slightly. "I missed Noah, and I missed you." I said it calmly, forcing my voice to stay even. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I slipped into Emily's home office, her laptop. The password was still Noah's birthday. I took a deep breath and opened her inbox. An email sat there, unread, not yet deleted. "My love, just a few more weeks, and it'll all be done. Be patient. Once Caleb is tangled in the money laundering charges, we'll start fresh in Toronto, with everything in our hands. Logan." My hands shook violently. The cursor blinked on the screen like it was mocking me. In the dark reflection of the laptop, I saw my own face, twisted with rage, eyes red and wet with tears. I gave my whole life to protect her, and in the end, she drove the blade straight into my back. But now, I'll be damned if I let anyone take my son away from me. 3 nights. I didn't sleep. Everything played out in my mind like a deadly chess match. One wrong move, and I'd lose everything. Emily and Logan thought I was just an old soldier, clumsy with the law, clueless about their clever little schemes. They were wrong. On the 4th day after returning, I rented an old car, installed a hidden camera on the dashboard to watch the house when I was away, and under the dining table, I placed a listening device no bigger than a fingertip. That afternoon, I pretended to leave. Emily called immediately. "He came back out of nowhere. I'm scared, Logan. How much longer until it's done?" Logan's voice was low, sharp, almost hissing. "Just a few more weeks. Don't let him suspect a thing. Caleb's not exactly sharp, remember?" I sat in the car, their voices crackling through my earpiece. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight the blood drained from my knuckles. Not sharp? We'll see who smiles in the end. That evening, I came home and acted as if nothing had changed. Emily brought dinner to the table, her smile soft, but her eyes barely met mine before darting away. Noah chattered about school. I forced a smile, trying to hide the redness in my eyes from nights without sleep. In my mind, the plan was already forming. Clear. Cold. I wasn't going to lose anything, and I damn sure wasn't letting Noah fall into their hands. Later that night, I sat alone in the car. I replayed footage from the hidden camera. On screen, Emily and Logan sitting close on the couch. Logan ran his hand through Noah's hair, then turned and smiled at Emily. My face stayed cold as stone, but a single tear slipped down the cheek of a man hardened by war. The next morning, I called Daniel, my FBI friend. "I need your help again. Freeze every account linked to Emily and Logan. I have proof they're laundering money." Daniel sighed. "Are you sure about this, Caleb? It's dangerous. Once they know you're fighting back, they won't stop." "I'm sure. If I fall, just make sure Noah stays safe." 3 days later, Daniel texted, "Accounts frozen. I also found documents showing Emily and Logan took out illegal loans under your name. If you're ready, we can launch a federal investigation." For the first time in weeks, I smiled. The game was on, Logan. That night, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Don't get cocky, Caleb. We know what you're doing. One wrong move, and that boy won't be calling anyone Dad ever again." My hands trembled. Cold sweat drenched my back. Logan had found out. He was striking back. I stood up, opened the gun cabinet, stared at the black Glock sitting there. My grip on the handle turned my knuckles white. But then, I shut the cabinet. This isn't how I protect Noah. I have to be smarter. They think I know nothing, but step by step, I'm flipping the board. And when the last piece falls, they'll understand what it means to lose everything. And if they make the first move, I'll make sure they never hurt my son. I knew I didn't have much time left. Logan had figured out I was fighting back, and I knew damn well he wouldn't just sit still. It felt like walking on thin ice. One wrong step, and I'd plunge into the trap they'd set. That night, on the hidden camera feed, I watched Emily sitting at the dining table, dark circles under her eyes. Logan walked up behind her, rested his hand on her shoulder. "I'm scared, Logan. Caleb, he's not the same. That look in his eyes, I'm terrified. Don't worry, Emily. If he dares get in the way, he'll pay for it. Just stick to the plan." I stared at Logan's face on the screen. Those eyes, once the eyes of a brother, now cold, calculating. The next day, I sent Logan an anonymous email. Subject line, "Good luck with that $2 million loan." Attached was a copy of the loan agreement, the one Emily had forged my signature on. Minutes later, my phone buzzed. "What the hell do you want, Caleb?" Logan's voice, low, sharp, with a flicker of panic. "I don't know what you're talking about." I kept my tone calm. "Don't play games with me. You're trying to be clever, huh? One wrong move, and you lose everything. Even the boy." Before I could respond, another email came through. From a lawyer. Subject, "Change of legal guardianship. Noah Walker." I opened the attachment. Every word burned into my eyes. New legal guardian, Logan Bennett. My whole body trembled. Emily. She'd gone this far? I gripped the desk so hard my nails dug in until blood seeped out. The cold blue glow from the monitor lit my face, eyes red with rage. My phone buzzed again. A video message from an unknown number. In the video, Logan held Noah close, running his hand through my boy's hair. A real father would never abandon his son like you did. Then he turned to the camera, a cold smile spreading across his face. This is your final warning, Caleb. Walk away, or start picking out your coffin. I felt the blood freeze in my veins. Rage surged like a tidal wave. But I breathed deep and shoved it down. You think you've won, Logan? I'll show you who gets the final move. That night, I drove through the pouring rain, my face tight, knuckles white on the steering wheel. The sound of rain hammering the windshield mixed with the weight of my own heavy breathing. I called Daniel. They're taking Noah. I can't wait any longer. Caleb, don't do anything reckless. We need 24 more hours to get the arrest warrant. In 24 hours, my boy could be gone. I don't have 24 hours. I've let too much slip through my fingers already. But not this time. Not Noah. I swear. I'll never let him go. Not again. No matter what it costs me. I drove like a man possessed. The long road ahead blurred into streaks of light in the rain. My heart pounded like a war drum. But my mind, cold. Sharper than ever. Emily. The woman I once swore to protect with my last breath. Now scheming with Logan to erase me from my son's life. My grip tightened on the wheel, knuckles turning white. In the pocket of my jacket, the Glock 19 rested quietly, a silent reminder. You only get one shot. I killed the engine 200 meters from Logan's secluded mansion. Took a deep breath. Through the rain-specked windshield, I could see faint lights glowing from inside. Emily's shadow pacing back and forth in the living room. I stepped out of the car, boots sinking into the soaked earth. The rain masked every sound, but in my head, one thought thundered loud and clear. They'll never take Noah from me. I pulled out my phone, opened the GPS feed from the tracker on Emily's car. On screen, Logan sat next to Noah, holding one of his toys. He looked at Emily and said, "Remember, when Caleb shows up, stay calm. We need him to sign away custody. Once he signs, it's over." My chest clenched tight. Sign away my son? They're really trying to destroy me completely? Noah's face flashed in my mind. His innocent eyes, asking, "Dad, why is Mommy always with Uncle Logan?" I stood there in the downpour, rain dripping off my tense face. My breath fogged in the icy air. I closed my eyes for 1 second, opened them again, and they were cold, hardened. I walked up to the door, didn't knock, didn't announce myself. I kicked it open. The door slammed against the wall with a crash. Emily spun around, her eyes wide with fear. Logan shot to his feet, his gaze darting to the gun on my hip. "Caleb, what are you doing here?" Emily stammered, her voice trembling. "You're not supposed to be here." Logan cut in, voice low and sharp. His hand drifted subtly to the small of his back, reaching for his gun. I locked eyes with Emily, my voice deep, cold as steel. "You really think you can take Noah from me? After everything I've done?" Emily inhaled sharply, her voice cracked. "You abandoned him for years. What right do you have?" I pulled a stack of papers from my jacket, tossed them onto the table. "Here's proof of the illegal loan, the forged signatures, and every dirty transfer you've made, Logan." Logan froze. Emily's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide in shock. "I've sent all of it to the FBI. When they get here, neither of you will have anywhere to run." Logan let out a sharp, venomous laugh, his voice like a snake's hiss. "You think you're clever? Look at yourself, a washed-up soldier with PTSD. Who's going to believe you? Are you ready to bet your son's life on this little game?" I slammed my hand on the table. My voice thundered through the room. "I've already lost too much. But Noah is all I have left. I'd rather die than let you lay a hand on him." The room went dead silent. Emily broke down, sobbing. Logan narrowed his eyes, his hand inching closer to the pistol on his waist. I growled through clenched teeth. "Give Noah back to me, Logan, or I swear, you'll regret it for the rest of your miserable life." The air in the room was thick. It felt like every molecule was ready to ignite. Logan and I stood face to face, two barrels locked on each other, eyes fixed like predators, waiting for the other to slip. Emily knelt on the floor, clutching Noah tightly, her shoulders shaking. "Caleb, please, stay calm. You can't do this here." Her voice cracked, barely cutting through the sound of rain hammering the tin roof. I stared at her. "I've been calm for far too long, Emily." My hand tightened around the Glock. My trigger finger trembled, sweat mixed with rain, running down my face. The salty sting made me press my lips so tight they bled. Logan smirked, stepping forward. "You think you can scare me, Caleb? A washed-up soldier with PTSD? Who's gonna believe you? You want Noah to see his father as a killer?" His voice dropped to a cold whisper. "Sign away custody, or the boy loses both his parents." Then I caught it. Emily's eyes flicked to mine for just a second, a look that said, "Trust me, just this once." I pulled out my phone, hit play on a recording of Logan's voice. "Once he signs, we'll have everything. And if he doesn't, make him disappear. An accident, if we have to." Emily's eyes went wide. Her lips trembled. "Logan, what are you saying? You're planning to kill Caleb?" Logan roared, whipping toward her. "Shut up! You think he'll forgive you? You really believe he can save you?" His hand darted to his holster. He drew his gun, aiming straight at me. My heart pounded like a jackhammer. If I pulled the trigger, Noah would forever see me as a killer. But if I hesitated, I could lose him for good. Noah's face flashed in my mind, his innocent eyes, his tiny voice, slicing through my thoughts. "Dad, if you kill someone, will I still call you Dad?" Logan screamed, "I'll end you and your family right now." He pulled the trigger. Bang! I lunged sideways. The bullet tore into the wall behind me. Noah's scream pierced the room. Emily sprang forward, slamming into Logan's arm. His gun clattered to the floor. She pulled a small USB drive from her jacket, holding it up. "This has everything. Proof of your whole plan. Caleb, I've been pretending all this time to save Noah." I froze. Emily, she wasn't betraying me? Or was this just another act? Logan roared like an animal, diving for the gun. But I was faster. My finger squeezed the trigger. Bang! The deafening shot echoed. Logan collapsed onto the floor, blood spreading across the carpet like a dark stain. Gun smoke lingered in the air. I stood there, clutching the Glock, my whole body trembling. Emily held Noah close, tears streaming down her face. I saved Noah, but the way he looked at me when the gun went off, that look will haunt me for the rest of my life. The room was silent now, so silent I could hear my own ragged breathing echo in my head. Gunsmoke still hung heavy in the air. The sharp, metallic stench curled in my stomach, threatening to turn it inside out. Logan lay motionless on the floor, eyes wide open, frozen in disbelief that he'd lost. Emily clutched Noah, her whole body trembling. "Caleb," she whispered, her voice breaking under Noah's sobs. I tightened my grip on the gun, then let it drop. The sound of metal hitting wood echoed through the room, a dry, final note to end this nightmare. I sank into a chair, buried my face in my hands. Blood and rainwater mixed, each drop hitting the floorboards, spreading into dark, uneven circles before they disappeared into nothing. "Dad." Noah's tiny voice, soft, fragile, but laced with fear. I turned, instinctively reaching out a hand. "Noah, I'm here." But he stepped back, just half a step. His wide, frightened eyes stabbed deeper into me than any bullet ever could. I used to dream about the day I'd save Noah, the day he'd run into my arms, laughing, crying. But now, all I see in his eyes is a killer. The FBI arrived minutes later. Daniel and his team moved fast. They cuffed me, by the book. But Daniel shot me a look, a silent promise. I'll handle this. They pushed me into the back of a patrol car. Blue and red lights flickered across my face, eyes hollow as I watched Noah through the foggy glass. Blood dripped from my hand, mixing with rainwater on the floor of the car, each drop falling with a quiet, relentless rhythm. Emily stood in the driveway, holding Noah tight. She watched as the car rolled away. "Caleb, I'm sorry. Sorry I didn't believe you. But if only you'd come home sooner. Maybe we wouldn't have lost everything." Her words shattered into the rain, leaving behind an empty space between two people who once meant the world to each other. In the interrogation room, Daniel slid me a cup of coffee. "You know how this works, but with the evidence on that USB and Emily's testimony, there's a good chance they'll rule this as self-defense." I said nothing. My eyes stayed locked on my hands, the dried blood cracking across my knuckles. I saved my son, but am I still worthy of being his father? I protected Noah, but the price I paid will haunt me for the rest of my life. 2 weeks later, I was released on bail. Emily's USB and her testimony proved it was self-defense, but I didn't feel any lighter, not even a little. The house felt empty. I stood in the living room, staring at the old photos on the wall. Me, Emily, and little Noah. Every smile in those pictures cut deeper than any blade. I picked up a family photo. My hands trembled. A single tear fell, landing right on Noah's tiny face in the picture. Emily showed up. She held Noah in her arms, standing in the doorway, her eyes swollen, red from nights without sleep. "Caleb, I don't know if this is the right thing, but Noah, he wanted to see you." I froze. My heart pounded like a war drum. Noah clung to her shoulder. His eyes met mine, curious but scared. I knelt down. My voice cracked. "Hi, son." Noah pressed his lips together. "Daddy, did you kill someone?" The question hung heavy in the air, echoing like thunder on a clear day. Will my boy grow up remembering a father who saved him, or a man who killed? I drew in a shaky breath, eyes burning. "I'm sorry. Everything I did was to protect you." Noah looked up, tears pooling in his little eyes. "Daddy, do you still love me?" I nodded, my voice breaking. "I love you. More than anything in this world." I reached out my hand, but Noah stepped back, half a step, and my heart shattered. But then, after what felt like an eternity, Noah burst into tears and ran into my arms. I held him tight, kneeling in the rain, water mixed with tears, the bitter salt stinging my lips. Emily stood behind us, a hand over her mouth to stifle her sobs. "Caleb," she whispered, voice trembling. "You used to be a good man. I don't know if we can fix what's broken, but for Noah's sake, let's try." Later, Daniel came to pick me up for final paperwork. Before I stepped into the car, he placed a hand on my shoulder. "Caleb, sometimes protecting the ones you love means learning to forgive yourself. Noah doesn't need a hero. He needs a father." I turned back one last time. Emily and Noah stood in the doorway, watching. A faint smile touched my lips, the first real smile I'd managed in what felt like forever. Some scars will never heal, but as long as there's one little boy who still calls me Dad, I've still got a reason to keep going. I came back to the old house after the final hearing. They declared me innocent, said it was self-defense, but deep down, nothing felt as simple as those two words, not guilty. The law may have forgiven me, but can Noah's heart? Will my son remember me as his father, or as the man who took another life? I walked into Noah's room. The little bed was still made. His toys sat quietly on the shelves, right where he'd left them. I picked up a small plastic dinosaur. Memories crashed in, Noah's laughter, those summer evenings when we played in the yard, and the way his eyes looked when he saw me holding a gun. Caleb sat on the edge of Noah's bed. The golden light of dusk streamed through the window, falling across his face, eyes deep and dark like a stormy ocean. Emily's voice broke the silence. Caleb, Noah wants to sleep with you tonight. I stood still. My hand clenched the little toy so tight my knuckles turned white. Noah stepped into the room. His tiny feet made soft sounds on the wooden floor. He stopped a few feet away. I dropped to my knees, my voice cracking. "Hi, son." Noah's lips pressed tight, his eyes uncertain. "Daddy, did you kill someone?" The question cut through the air, echoing like thunder on a clear sky. Is he running into my arms because he loves me, or because he's afraid of losing me again? I took a shaky breath. My eyes burned. "I'm sorry. Everything I did was to protect you. But I understand. If you need time, I'll wait." I held out my arms, trembling. Noah stared at me for what felt like forever, tears welling in his little eyes. Then he stepped back, half a step. My heart shattered. Maybe I've lost him. Forever. But then, after an eternity, Noah broke down crying. He ran forward, throwing his tiny arms around my neck. "Don't leave me again. Okay, Daddy?" I pulled him close, holding him so tight it hurt. Tears spilled hot and fast down my face. "I won't leave you. Never again." Emily stood in the doorway, her eyes red from crying, but her gaze steady. "Caleb, give Noah a father he can be proud of, and show me you're still the man I once loved." Daniel stood behind her, his voice low and calm. "Caleb, the battlefield has already taken too much from you. Don't let it take the last good part of you. Noah doesn't need a warrior. He needs a father." The camera pulled back slowly through the window. Caleb sat in the small room, cradling Noah in his arms. The moonlight streamed in, a thin, fragile beam of warmth cutting through the dark. Some scars will never fade, but as long as there's someone left to call me Dad, I still have a reason to keep going.